Hi, this video is going to help you with some basic navigation and how to do data setup in order to use the treatment tracker. This video is being made using an iPad, so we can see some of the iPad features as we move through this. Okay, so this is a popover button, so when you click it, it gives you all of the buttons available to help you navigate around the application. The default screen is always this dashboard. You can either use the dashboard button or simply click the white treatment tracker text at the top of each screen to help you get back to this dashboard screen. There are detail screens where you can enter or see detailed information about each of these categories of things that are tracked in this application. Diagnostics, practitioners, symptoms, and treatments. And all of these screens have a lot of different fields on them as well, and all of them feed into the dashboard that we're looking at. The list screens, which you can see all along the left, are going to only be valuable once you have information saved in them. They're going to be like a quick at-a-glance list at all of the records that you have details about. So that way you can flip through and look at them at a glance and pick which ones it is that you want to see. The Manage Lists area is very handy. This is where you're going to drive a lot of the value lists that you're seeing as you're filling out information. So practitioner specialty, information about symptoms such as locations, categories, types, and triggers, and then care for those symptoms. And then about practitioners, we have information about the locations and the specialties as well. And so you can add and delete information from each of these sections by using the buttons, the big gray buttons up in the side. So I have in my setup right now, I have test. If I hit the delete button, it's going to remove test as a practitioner specialty. It will no longer be available in the drop down on the screen in practitioners. You can add a practitioner specialty by hitting the plus button and then typing into the field, and it will end up at the bottom of your list, and there it is here. And that pretty much covers the basics for navigation. Just as a security precaution, this application can include a lot of sensitive information, medical information, so I've included a log out button that will log out your profile, so that way a username and password is required to get back in. There are also different versions of the treatment list, kind of like the practitioners and diagnostics and symptoms. There's a treatments all, a treatments current, and a treatments do not take. And each of those treatments all, hopefully intuitively, is a list of all the treatments that are in the system. Treatments current is a list of all of the medications or treatments that should be currently being taken or used. And then the do not take list, the treatments detail screen has a flag up in the left corner, and nope, that's the right. Up in the right corner, that you can mark that will allow you to find those medications on the do not take list. So if you're in a situation where you have a bad reaction to a medication, mark it as do not take, so that way when you see a new doctor and they ask you what medications you're allergic to or have had bad reactions to, they're there for you at a glance. Sometimes I can't remember the long list of things when I'm standing in the doctor's office. Okay, so we're going to go to the data setup screen. When you get there, there are no records, so use the plus button in the bottom right hand corner to add a record, and then put in your name. It's important, if you're planning on sharing these reports with your doctors, that you do include your name, so that way when you email them or you leave them in their office or whatever, that they can attribute them to the correct patient file. If you have a condition that has a memorable start date, you can always you can put that in here. It's optional. You can just leave it blank if that does not apply to you. That information will show up if you filled it out. It will show up on some reports that are available, as well as it'll auto-calculate the number of days since the start date of your condition. And that's something that I've wanted to keep track of. So down below in the portal is diagnosis history. I find that when you have a chronic condition, sometimes there's either multiple diagnoses or like a working diagnosis when they're trying to figure out exactly what the problem is. And having that information and who made the diagnosis and maybe even when is useful. So you can track that here. It's interesting to see what things get auto-corrected. Okay. Hopefully it'll let me type that in. Okay, good. Now it just tells me I can't spell. Okay, and so you can make multiple entries here and go on to keep a long list of things or any other notes that you really want to keep down here. It doesn't really matter. Oops. Helps if I can type. Okay. And then once that information is in this data setup screen, when you go back to the dashboard, you will see that it's reflected up here in the top. It says reporting for Tanya test. The report date is always going to be the current date if this is something that you're printing out kind of like an at a glance of your particular condition. And then the condition start date if you chose to fill it out and the number of days elapsed since that start date. So that really covers the basics for navigation. I will get into details about how to enter information into these individual screens. But one thing that's always important to remember is that as much as it looks like you can type into it, you're going to get an error if there's no record. So always add a new record before you start typing. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you enjoy the treatment tracker.